You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Good morning, happy Friday, happy Venus Day. Who is ready for this solar eclipse tonight in Sagittarius? We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to go over the energy the solar eclipse is bringing, what it means for all of us. We'll talk about the moon in Sagittarius, just moved into Sagittarius this morning, and what connections it's making before this solar eclipse and right around the solar eclipse. So what other planets are going to be activated by this? And then I'll go through each of the 12 signs and tell you what this solar eclipse and new moon means for your sign. So we have a ton to talk about. Let's dive right in. And as I'm talking, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat or let me know if you are feeling this energy, how it's showing up for you, because I feel like we're already starting to get a little bit of the buzz from this solar eclipse. So no other major planetary connections today, just the moon. Good morning, Shauna. So happy you're here with me. So yeah, we're talking all about the moon today. There's no other major planetary connections. We still have, let's pull up the chart here. We still have Saturn and Chiron in this sextile with one another. So that energy is still playing out, has been for the past couple weeks. And really, that's kind of it. Venus and Neptune are pulling away from a sextile to one another as well. So if you felt like your relationships feel extra romantic this week, or that you're just a little bit dreamier and more lovey-dovey, that's probably Venus and Neptune. So those are the energies we've been talking about all week, really leading up to this solar eclipse today. We've been talking about the energy leading up to it. We've been talking about what it's going to bring. Now it's here. It's happening at 11:45 p.m. Pacific time. So some of us will be experiencing the solar eclipse on the West Coast on Friday, and others will experience it on Saturday morning, really anywhere east of the West Coast of the United States. So it's kind of, some people will be talking about it more tomorrow. Some people will be talking about it more today, but you're here. Let's get you prepared for it regardless of when you start to feel the energy. Good morning, Michael. Thanks for being here. So excited to have you with us. All right, so the moon moved into Sagittarius around 4 a.m. So you can see it right here. Jam-packed Sagittarius right now. We have what's called a stellium in Sagittarius, 3 planets in the sign of the Archer currently. So we're in the middle of Sagittarius season. We have the sun in Sagittarius. Mercury moved into Sagittarius shortly after the sun did. So our thoughts, our communications probably coming in a little bit faster, a little bit more matter of fact, because Sagittarius is all about the truth and really not afraid to hold back telling you what they think the truth is. And then with now the moon in Sagittarius, we have both of our luminaries in the sign and a lot of energy in the sign of Sagittarius. So like I said, the moon doesn't meet up with the sun for that solar eclipse until 11:45 tonight, meaning we have a lot of energy to walk through before that solar eclipse happens. A couple different connections with the moon. So first, at 7 a.m., this already happened, but we're probably feeling this energy the most potently right now. Is that a word, potently? I don't know, but you know what I mean. We're feeling this energy the most right now. The moon forming this conjunction with the south node. So you can see the south node at 1 degree in Sagittarius, the moon at 2 degrees. The south node represents our karmic past, the lessons we came into this life already knowing, basically our past lives, what we learned throughout those past lives. And we've been talking about these eclipses on the Gemini-Sagittarius axis. This is the last of 6 eclipses on this axis, and this cycle started back in June 2020. So this is really a time to think back to June of last year and what themes have been coming up for you since that point, and really reflect on what you've learned, all of your growth in the time since that first eclipse on this axis. So yeah, it's really an interesting energy with this solar eclipse because we have one chapter closing with this last eclipse of the cycle, but this is also a new moon, which marks the beginning of another chapter. And we had the first eclipse on the Taurus Scorpio axis 2 weeks ago. So the past 2 weeks have been what we call eclipse season, right between 2 eclipses, when a lot of energy, a lot of things in our life are being pulled away and other things are being brought in. This is really a time of alignment and shifts. So the universe, God, source, shifting your life to get you on the right path to keep moving forward in the next chapter. That's what these past 2 weeks have been about. So this solar eclipse is really the bookend of eclipse season and of the past 18 months of these eclipses on the Gemini-Sagittarius axis. So the reason I go into detail about that right now is because when the moon forms this conjunction with the south node, we will really be feeling this final moment of being our past selves, reflecting on the past chapter, reflecting on all the things we've learned. When the moon meets up with the south node, we kind of feel like a former version of ourselves. So if you're feeling that a little bit and it doesn't feel super comfortable, then you know that version of you is not in alignment with who you're becoming. So this morning, observe any emotions that are coming up and ask yourself if that version of you still resonates with the current version of you. Ask yourself what you want to hold on to, what's still truly you. Sagittarius is all about the truth and expressing ourselves authentically. So if you're like, yeah, I feel really me this morning, then maybe there's a past version of yourself that needs to be revisited. But if you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to feel like this anymore, or just kind of then you know that that's not a version of yourself that needs to come into the future anymore. So that's really the only major connection we have this morning with the moon. Then it's just kind of making its way through Sagittarius until 5 p.m. Pacific time when the moon forms a trine with Chiron. So here's what that looks like. Chiron is in Aries right now at, where is he? 8 degrees. And the moon will get to 8 degrees Sagittarius by about 5 p.m. Pacific time. So a trine is that nice, harmonious, easy flowing angle with both of these planets in fire signs. Their energies work together flawlessly. And how I see this is when the moon, our internal self, our emotions, forms this harmony with Chiron, the wounded healer, it allows us to act or feel from a place of compassion, from a place of healing. We've already faced Chiron directly with the moon. And so we've already kind of moved past whatever wounds we needed to face. Now is the time where we're like, we got this healing thing down. And as we're reflecting on the journey of the past 18 months, as we're looking ahead and setting intentions for this new moon and for 2022, we can do so in alignment with our healing, in harmony with our healing. The past 18 months have probably brought a lot of healing for a lot of people, or, just growth in general, which often involves some sort of healing work. So we'll be able to act and feel from a place this evening that really resonates with everything we've learned in the past 18 months. And also we can be more considerate of others with this moon forming a harmonious angle to Chiron, and expand our own healing. If there are still things that need to be healed or addressed, this nice flowing angle to Chiron can help us do it in a really gentle way, in an easy way, and in a way that will bring us good fortune ultimately, because this angle is a very fortunate angle. A couple hours later at 7 p.m., the moon forms a sextile with Saturn. Saturn, the limiter, the rule maker of the zodiac. So it's a nice supportive angle to Saturn, I will say. Saturn here in Aquarius, the moon at 9 degrees in Sagittarius. When the moon forms a sextile to Saturn, this can really help us get grounded and set intentions as the foundation for what we want to call in 2022. I have a good visualization for this eclipse, but I want to wait till I go through all the planets first and tell you, because I really want to set the scene. But I mentioned this is an ending and a beginning all at once. The past 2 weeks have been building up to this point of stepping into the next chapter, of releasing what we want to leave behind. So at 7 p.m., just a couple hours before the solar eclipse, when the moon gets support from Saturn, this can really help us set those intentions, look ahead long term, look at the next chapter. And as we approach this, it's the last new moon of 2021. So it's the last new beginning, in a sense, of 2021. The next new moon will be in the new year. So this can help us look forward to the new year. This can really set the stage for the new year. The moon in Sagittarius can make us a little bit more spontaneous and adventurous. We'll feel in that Sagittarius energy. But Saturn forming this sextile allows us to slow down, really take account of our responsibilities, check our emotions a little bit, and think practically while still dreaming big, with the moon in Sagittarius giving us that boost of optimism. So the key here between these two planets forming a sextile with one another is that a sextile does require some effort. And we've been saying for the past 2 weeks, don't manifest during eclipse season. Some people are saying, yeah, still don't manifest for the next couple weeks because there's kind of a shadow period with eclipse season. But I'm under the feeling that if you feel called to set intentions and to manifest, do it. Listen to your own intuition. This is a new moon. This is a solar eclipse. It can kind of block the luminaries. It can, I would say, block our intentions in a way, because it's an eclipse. It's literally blocking the light of the sun. However, Saturn can help us kind of envision those long-term goals. So maybe just write down a few things you want to see in 2022, or just have a conversation about it with someone. Even just think about it, envision it. You do want to take some sort of action when the moon is forming a sextile. So that could even just be grabbing a journal, writing some things down. It doesn't have to be a full manifestation ritual or an intention ritual, but something to just put out in the universe. Hey, here's what I want in 2022. I'm under the belief that that really can't hurt at this point. And then right before the solar eclipse, the moon forms this awkward angle to Uranus. So that's at 10 p.m. Pacific time. And like I said, the solar eclipse is at 11:45 p.m. So when the moon gets to 11 degrees in Sagittarius, you can see not quite opposing Uranus and Taurus. We're one sign off from an opposition, which is called a Quincunx or an inconjunct angle. Lots of different names for it. But essentially it just means it's a little bit awkward because we're not quite in exact alignment with the planet. We are one sign off. And so this angle asks us what adjustments we need to make. And with the moon forming this imbalanced angle to Uranus, the planet of change, the planet of transformation, I think this is asking us, okay, what final tweaks, what final changes do you need to make? What adjustments do you need to make before this solar eclipse? And we've been with the moon in Scorpio the past couple of days, talking a lot about release. And I really feel this last awkward angle to Uranus is asking us, what final release do you need to make? What do you need to let go of right before this solar eclipse? Because eclipses are a time where rapid shifts can happen, rapid changes can happen. We can jump timelines, we can align to new paths. So having this final moment of release could be the best form of ritual you can do before a solar eclipse. With this solar eclipse in Sagittarius, a fire sign, this could look like a fire release ritual. So maybe writing down things you want to release and burning them safely, or just letting go in general, whatever that looks like for you. The element of fire is great to include because we're talking about the sun and we're talking about Sagittarius. But if that's not easily available to you today or something easy for you to do, sometimes release can just look like your daily rituals and putting intentions behind them. So clearing out your physical space or taking a nice hot shower and just letting whatever you've been holding on to wash away, taking up the trash, just even incorporating something from your daily life as a release ritual. It's all about the intention behind it. So if late tonight you're like, I really need to take out the trash, or you really need to do the dishes or whatever, while you're doing that, just be thinking about what you're releasing, washing that dish, and imagine that food stuck on the plate as all the things that you've been holding on to that need to be washed away. I really think spirituality and these rituals and moons and eclipses and all the woo-woo things can be more approachable. It's all about the intentions we set behind them. Yes, Shauna, if you feel called to manifest away. You know yourself and your relationship to the universe better than I do, than any astrologer, any spiritual guru or manifestation coach does. So if you really feel like, I want to journal or I want to do this ritual, I'm ready for release, listen to yourself. And eclipse season is almost over. I think this eclipse season got like a really bad rep of like, it's going to be so crazy, it's going to be so scary. I don't think it's been that bad, at least for me personally. I don't know. Let me know if the past 2 weeks have felt really chaotic for you, or if you think this eclipse season was a little overhyped on social media. I'm going to put that out to you and let you answer. I don't want to accuse anybody of causing a ruckus, but I think it's all about the intention behind things. It's all about awareness of things. And personally, this eclipse season hasn't been too bad for me. But I'm also under the belief that if you're aligned with it and if you're aware of it, it's kind of working to your advantage rather than being in the dark about eclipse season and just wondering why all these shifts and changes are happening around you. So take that as you will. Okay, here is how I see this solar eclipse playing out. We originally started talking about this 2 weeks ago on November 19th, also a Friday, so 2 weeks to the day, on the lunar eclipse in Taurus, starting this eclipse season, starting this 2-week period between eclipses. And I had another astrologer on my live stream that morning, Court Burns. She's great. And we talked a lot about eclipse season and what was to come in the 2 weeks to follow. And she gave me this great quick visualization of how she saw it. And I was thinking about that this morning, and I want to expand upon it because I think it's a really great way to look at this eclipse. So she talked about the energy of eclipse season being like the 2 weeks around any major event of your life. So like a wedding or a graduation or whatever, when there's like a lot of moving parts and a lot of things you're getting in order and things kind of feel frantic and chaotic, but something exciting is coming. And the Taurus full moon really asked us to check in with ourselves internally, check in with the physical, check in with how we're feeling. Taurus rules our sensuality. Get grounded before eclipse season. Sagittarius with this solar eclipse tonight is a much more external energy. It's that archer pointing and shooting towards your goals, expanding. It's fire energy. So with that Taurus lunar eclipse, it was earth energy. We're like, okay, let's get rooted. Let's ground in for the next 2 weeks. Now with the solar eclipse in Sagittarius, it's that fire energy. We're like, let's go. Let's dream big. Let's take action. Let's do things. So like Shauna said, if you feel like taking action on something today, manifesting, doing a ritual, that's probably that fire energy with so many planets in the sign of Sagittarius. So I see this solar eclipse in Sagittarius as a graduation. You are graduating from everything you've learned, all the ways you've expanded and grown over the past 18 months. And with a graduation comes a letting go. Think about your graduation day. You're saying goodbye to that past version of yourself, let's just say in high school, who you were. And you're preparing to meet the next version of yourself in that next step in your education or your career. So I see this solar eclipse as graduation day. We're saying goodbye, we're letting go, we're celebrating everything we've learned from the last chapter, and then we're envisioning the next version of ourselves. We're setting goals, we're setting intentions of who we want to become in the next chapter, in the next phase, in 2022. So rituals around release and setting intentions are both great today. It's all about where you're at and where you feel called on your own journey. I'm not going to tell you this is the ritual to do today, because I think at this point you probably know if something is still holding you back. And if you're feeling, like Shauna said, like ready to manifest, then set those intentions. Use that fire energy. Figure out what target you're aiming at and point and shoot. Or just figure out what the target is. You don't even have to, pull back the bow and arrow yet. Just figure out what target you're heading towards. Envision that target in your life. I see this solar eclipse as this really, I see it as a really positive energy. And maybe that's because it's in the sign of Sagittarius, the sign of optimism and abundance. We're heading into the holiday season. This new moon really sparking the holiday season, setting a blaze to the holiday season, if you will. With Christmas coming and the holidays coming in the next couple weeks, some people still celebrating Hanukkah, I believe, right now. Things can feel a little chaotic over the holiday season, which is why I keep putting the focus on 2022. Envision what you want in 2022. Yes, you can set intentions for the next couple weeks as well, but personally, I just feel like the holidays can be such a time of chaos that it can be hard to have a clear vision and stick to those things when we're traveling or we're around family. I don't know. If like I said, it's up to you. If you want to set intentions for the next month, set intentions for the next month. Me personally, I'm already looking at 2022. You know what I mean? Like in my book, 2021 is like ending. No more fire energy. I'm exhausted. We only have a couple more weeks of Sagittarius season, Cassie. And the moon will only be in Sagittarius for this weekend, essentially. And then it moves into Capricorn. So you, Cassie, will feel a lot more comfortable come next week when the moon moves out of Sagittarius, because I know you have a ton of earth energy in your chart. So yeah, let me know if that resonated, that graduation visualization. I'm really picturing it like this morning, we're all lining up in our cap and gowns and we're talking to our friends, like, how are you feeling about it? How are you feeling about the next chapter? What are you doing next? We're getting kind of that excitement, that buzz. And the solar eclipse is when we're walking across the stage and grabbing that diploma and we're like, holy shit, I did it. Holy shit, this is really happening. It's kind of that like moment of alignment, right? And like a huge shift in our lives. And then after, we're probably going to feel with the moon in Sagittarius this weekend, we're like, yes, I'm feeling it. I'm vibing. I'm optimistic. I want to be around people. I want to adventure. I want to explore, expand, all the things Sagittarius represents. And then we go into the holiday season, Capricorn season. We kind of bunker down again with that Capricorn energy. We enjoy being around family. We're a little bit more stable. So like I said, envision what you want in 2022. Because also, we've been talking about the nodes with these eclipses, this being the last eclipse on the Gemini Sagittarius axis. And when we talk about that axis, we're talking about the moon's north and south nodes. So take a look at the chart here. If you're not familiar with the nodes, this is the north node right now at 0 degrees Gemini. and the south node is at 0 degrees Sagittarius. So it actually shifts a degree. It's moving retrograde throughout the day today. But the nodes shift onto the Taurus Scorpio axis in January of next year. And so that's why we just had that first eclipse on that axis, but the nodes haven't quite shifted there. I know this is getting pretty like convoluted, but just know in January, the nodes are shifting to a new axis, to Scorpio Taurus, a lot of what we talked about on November 19th. So if you're curious what that axis is all about, go back and watch the full moon lunar eclipse video we did on November 19th. We talk a ton about this axis and what energy it's going to bring over the next year and a half until the end of 2023. So we're going to actually over a year and a half, almost 2 years. So that's the energy that's going to be playing out collectively, the direction we're heading, the themes that we're reflecting on from the past, all going to be on the Scorpio Taurus axis. So yeah, that's why I keep saying 2022, there's going to be huge shifts because of that. 222, it's going to be this sort of angel number year. A lot of numerologists are talking about partnerships and the abundance and the positive vibes that are going to come from 2022, just with those 3 2s in a row. Oh, good. I'm glad that resonated with you. That makes me really happy. Capricorn here, looking forward to my season. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Capricorn season too. Sagittarius season is fun though. So if you're feeling like, this fire energy is overwhelming, and Cassie is also a Capricorn and she just said, I'm done with the fire energy. If you're feeling like it's overwhelming, I totally get you, because I have a ton of earth in my chart too, and I'm like not fiery. However, try to use that fire energy to your advantage. That's your little challenge, my Capricorns who are watching. Have some fun in the next 2 weeks. Let loose a little bit. Use that Sagittarius energy. Give yourself a free pass to just kind of go wild a little bit. Because once Capricorn season is here, we're like, okay, yeah, we know responsibility, duty, rules. We got to tone it down a bit. Have fun while the sun is still in Sagittarius. And this weekend is a perfect time with the moon in Sagittarius too. I have a feeling this is going to be a really fun weekend. I have Mercury, Venus, Mars in Sagittarius. Okay, so you just had your Mercury return probably, or are having it right now. I've been loving this week. I just changed my whole life. Yay! Ah, that's great. This is awesome. Awesome. You've had a ton of Venus just went through Sagittarius. You just had your Venus return, and then Mars is moving into Sagittarius, I believe in a week or two. I don't have the exact date off the top of my head, but you'll have your Mars return as well. So you just watching are going through a ton of kind of key moments in your year, all in the next month or so, and you probably have already been feeling those shifts, as you just said. That's so awesome. 18 months ago, I had my daughter. It's been a huge chapter. And of course, Shauna, your daughter's a Gemini. Like, how perfect that you had her during eclipse season on the Gemini Sagittarius axis. I love that so much. It has been a huge chapter for you. And Shauna, celebrate yourself. You brought that beautiful baby girl into the world. Like, you are ready to graduate into the next chapter, right? The chapter about you, Shauna. That's what it's about. I just decided for you. All right. Do I do personal readings? I don't do tarot readings. I am working on launching astrology readings, though, in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned. It's coming. I know people are asking. I've just got to make sure I can make it work for me and for you. So stay tuned. You'll be some of the first people to know. I'm sure I'll announce it on the live stream. Yes. Have some fun, Shauna. Get a little escape from mom life if you can. That goes for you too, Cassie. You guys are both mamas to young babies right now, and have some fun during Sagittarius season, moms. Okay, let's talk about each sign and how this eclipse is going to affect the signs. And then, hit my mic here. And then we'll do a little bit of a wrap up about what this eclipse means, and let you go on your way and enjoy this Sagittarius moon. Okay, so let's just go through the signs one by one. I keep bringing this notebook in front of the frame. All right. I don't know what that word means. Fun? Yes, you do. I've seen it. I've seen you have fun. You can't fool me. I've seen you have too much fun. All right. We'll start with Sagittarius. So these horoscopes, if you will, are for your rising sign, or if you don't know your rising sign, just pay attention to your sun sign. If you know both, pay attention to both. See what resonates. We'll start with Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. This solar eclipse is activating your first house, which is all about yourself, your identity, how you show up in the world. Maybe even your body and your physical appearance are being activated if you're a Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising. This can also be a moment of shifting your purpose or your priorities or how you want to show up in the world. So pay attention to how you've changed physically over the past year and a half if you're a Sag or a Sag rising, and what other shifts you want to make in your identity moving forward. Scorpios and Scorpio rising. This is activating your second house, all about work, money, income, values, possessions. So pay attention to your relationship to money, your relationship to your job, your relationship to work, how you're calling in money. You know, this solar eclipse in Sagittarius is really activating abundance and optimism. So this could be a great time for you if you're a Scorpio or Scorpio rising to kind of set some goals or intentions around the money you want to call in the next chapter. This could also be a good time to do some work around worthiness and the money you feel worthy of attracting. I think sometimes that blocks our manifestations the most, is not feeling worthy of what we deserve. So ask yourself what you want in terms of money. Talk about the shifts that you've made, or think about the shifts you've made over the past 18 months when it comes to your work, your income, your money, your physical possessions, and look ahead with optimism to the money you are definitely going to call in when the nodes shift to the next axis. This could also just be a celebration of how far you've come in your work if you're a Scorpio or Scorpio rising, or in your relationship with money. All right, Libras, we're moving backwards through the zodiac here. This is going to activate your third house. That's where this solar eclipse lands in your chart if you're a Libra rising. So the third house is all about teaching and learning, communication. Even sibling relationships are ruled by the third house. So pay attention to your thoughts. How has your mindset shifted over the past 18 months if you're a Libra or Libra rising? Maybe even issues around your mental health that you've been facing over the past 18 months. Any sort of learning or education you've done. Now might be the time where, back to that graduation analogy, you're reflecting on all the things you've learned, all the information you've gathered over, since June of 2020. And now you're ready to be the teacher. You're ready to step into the next phase and share what you've learned over the past 18 months. So this could be kind of that shift for you of teacher becoming, or student, I should say, becoming the teacher. Also, like I said, pay attention for whatever reason. This time around, I'm like, Libras, pay attention to your relationships with your siblings, with this third house being activated for you. And just, your interaction in general with other people, how you're communicating, how you're talking, how you're thinking, that's all going to be activated by this solar eclipse. My Virgos, this is activating our fourth house. That's where the solar eclipse lands if you're a Virgo rising or a Virgo. The fourth house is all about home, family, relationships with your mother, femininity, relationship with your own femininity or the concept of femininity in general, nurturing other people. So this is really going to activate our home life if we're Virgos. We'll really feel a shift in how much we've grown, either in our relationship to our family or our home itself. Maybe you have moved into a new home or you have goals around a new home. And like I said, this is that culmination point. So you can also set intentions around what shifts you want to make, what changes you want to make in your home life moving forward. But really, because this is the last eclipse on the Sagittarius Gemini axis, a lot of these themes coming up for each sign are going to be reflective. And it's not just like, the moon moves through this house once a year and we only feel these things once a year. The moon moves through all of our houses every month. So these are just the big themes to be thinking about for your sign. And you could feel these things coming back up again and again in the next year, or it could be something that's come up again and again over the past year and a half. So Virgo is really all about home, family, those roots, and nurturing yourself. How have you been nurturing yourself? How have you been nurturing other people? Leos and Leo risings. Your 5th house is activated by this solar eclipse. The 5th house is the fun house. It's all about romance, joy, passion, creativity, expressing ourselves. It's kind of the performative house, but also rules our inner child. So that childlike expression, that willingness to just be ourselves and express ourselves without a filter. Kids just kind of do what they want to do and do what they're passionate about. So if you're a Leo, this is actually activating the house ruled by Leo, which means this solar eclipse should feel very at home for you, Leos and Leo risings. Really think about how you're expressing yourself, your romance. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean partnerships, but how are you wining and dining yourself? What is your relationship to romance like? Are you a romantic person? What's your relationship to your own joy like? Are you having fun? Do you feel joyful in the things that you are doing day in and day out? How can you invite more joy into your life, especially with the moon in Sagittarius, the solar eclipse in Sagittarius, allowing us to be a little bit more free and have a little bit more fun? What's your relationship to joy looking like, Leo? Celebrate how far you've come and set an intention to expand on it even more. Cancers and Cancer risings. This solar eclipse is activating your 6th house. The 6th house is all about our health, our fitness, our wellness, our daily routines, those small structures we have in place every day to keep us on track. So Cancers, really pay attention to your health. Any health issues that have come up over the past 18 months should be closing out now, but any health issues that have popped up in the past 2 weeks could be indicative of something that's going to keep coming up in the next year and a half, 2 years. So really pay attention to your health right now, what your body is telling you, and what your daily routine is doing to either help your health or hinder your health. This could be a time with a shift coming, with the solar eclipse bringing a shift, to make a change to your daily routine that will benefit your health. And this doesn't even have to be physical health. This could be your mental health. This is also a time to think about how you're serving others. The 6th house is the house of service as well. So remember, you can't fill others' cup if your own cup is empty. Make sure that you're taking care of your body, yourself, your mind. You have those routines in place so you can be of service to other people when they do need your help. Especially Cancers, you love to help other people. You love to nurture other people. So make sure that you have the structures in place to take care of yourself first so you can be that stable, nurturing presence for the other people in your life, and you can be of service to other people. If your health is not great, you're not going to be able to serve other people or be your best self. That goes without saying. All right, let's move on to Gemini. This is activating the 7th house for you, Geminis and Gemini risings, which is all about relationships, not just romantic relationships, but partnerships, business relationships. So pay attention to how relationships have shifted over the past 18 months since June of 2020. I think we can all relate to shifts in relationships. And, the North Node has been in Gemini during the past 18 months. So we've all seen our relationships shift as a collective. I think the pandemic has really shaken things up in terms of how we're relating to other people, whether physically, virtually, with our families. The information that we're all taking in is different from each other, and that can create some tension or some shifts in relationships. So just remember that. And this can also bring about issues of equality. So Gemini, ask yourself, are you getting as much as you're giving in relationships? What does the dynamic look like in relationships? Are you feeling fulfilled by the current relationships in your life? or the current partnerships? Maybe a business partner. Are they holding up their end of the deal? Are you holding up your end of the deal? Are you being a little bit flaky, Gemini? Like, that's something that might come up for you. So ask yourself how much energy you're putting into relationships, how your viewpoint of your relationships has shifted over the past 18 months, and moving forward in 2022, what are your intentions for the people you want to call into your life, the relationships you want to form, or how you want your current partnerships to evolve and grow and expand. Taurus, this is activating the 8th house for you. The 8th house is all about energy exchange. And being a Taurus, you're probably all about the physical, sensuality. So I would imagine that this solar eclipse is going to activate your sex life. If you are a Taurus, you know, that's what I see for you. You know, if you are in a safe partnership, today's a great day for you and your sex life, especially tonight around 11:45 p.m. during the solar eclipse. Just saying, could be a great time. But also, this doesn't have to be all about sex, you know. Energy exchange has a lot to do with contracts or bonds that we have with other people, energetic bonds that we might not even realize we have. So it's not even necessarily other people, but pay attention to the bonds you have energetically, whether that be with technology, with food, with anything in your life that you might be obsessing over a little bit. The 8th house also rules shadow work. So this could have been, the past 18 months could have been a time where you've done a lot of shadow work if you're a Taurus or a Taurus rising. And celebrate everything you've learned, even in those deep, dark moments. Really give yourself credit for going there, for being willing to confront those dark parts of yourself. And as you look ahead to the next chapter, to 2022 and 2023, use what you've learned in those dark moments, doing that shadow work, to set intentions of how you can evolve into that next version of yourself. And as you're doing that, as you're setting intentions, really be aware of energetically how you'll be using your resources, your energy. Make sure you're not forming any bonds right now that are going to drain your energy. Anybody who's sucking the life out of you, it's time to release them. Like, this is a point, especially for you, Taurus, this solar eclipse activating your house of death and rebirth. Let go of anything that is draining your energy. Cut the cords. Cut the energetic cords for anything that's not serving you. And that really goes for everybody. If you're feeling like still the heaviness of eclipse season, or things have been weighing on you a little bit, doing a cord cutting meditation or a cord cutting exercise, a visualization, can be really, really, really powerful, especially for this solar eclipse being the last solar eclipse on this axis. I would say a cord cutting exercise is perfect timing right now. And if you're not familiar with cord cutting, go ahead and just YouTube it. I guarantee you can find several meditations around cord cutting. Yes, cord cutting. It's time. It's time. All right. Got a few more signs to go through, and then we'll do a little wrap up here. Aries and Aries rising. This is activating your 9th house. Very Sagittarius, traditionally ruled by Sagittarius. All about travel, expansion, beliefs. How have your beliefs changed over the past 18 months, Aries? And what beliefs are you holding on to in the next chapter? What beliefs no longer serve you? If you're in Aries, you're probably really feeling that fire energy everybody's been talking about in the chat with all these planets in Sagittarius. So if you're really feeling like you need to take action right now, think about where you want to travel. Think about where you want to go. Think about how you want to expand in 2022. This house also rules higher learning. So if you are an Aries or Aries rising and you've been thinking about doing that program or going back to school or leveling up your education in some way or your knowledge in some way, that could even be, you know, through your own devotional practice or whatever that is, this is the time to really lean into that. It's all about beliefs. It's all about your own expansion. How have you expanded? What beliefs do you need to leave behind? And how do you want to expand even more in 2022? What beliefs do you really want to hold on to? And Aries, you love the physical. So physically, how can you expand? Where can you travel? Where can you go? What can you do in 2022 that's going to take you and your consciousness to that next level? That's what the 9th house is all about, leveling up. Pisces and Pisces risings. This solar eclipse is activating your 10th house of career and long-term goals. So you have probably seen a huge shift in the career area of your life and your long-term goals over the past 18 months. And that's only going to continue for you in 2022. This is a time to look back on maybe the goals you did set back in June of 2020. Of course, we were all in kind of like a different mindset, I think, everywhere in the world in June of 2020. A lot of us were in lockdown, but maybe that forced you to think about your career a little bit differently. Maybe that helped you innovate a little bit and figure out a different way of attracting money. Maybe it changed your long-term goals and your priorities altogether. Being in quarantine or having to work from home could have made you realize like, oh, long-term, I could totally do this, or long-term, I cannot work from home and I need to be in an office. So it just kind of depends on your style and what works for you. But this solar eclipse is really activating your relationship with your career and work. And it's also important to note that the 10th house rules masculinity and our relationships with our fathers. So that might have really been activated for you over the past 18 months. And this is a great opportunity with this eclipse being the final eclipse on this axis to release any beliefs about your own limits when it comes to your career. The 10th house is ruled by Saturn, and often Saturn tells us where our limits are, where the boundaries are, where the rules are. But make sure you're not limiting your own career goals just because you don't think you're worthy of it. And a lot of times that can come from, we talked about this with Scorpios as well in the 2nd house, which also rules work. But a lot of times our ability to dream big about our long-term goals or hold that big long-term vision for our career is limited by the beliefs that were programmed into us. And personally, I think a lot of times that comes from our father or the masculine parent in our lives, because that masculine energy isn't necessarily negative. A lot of times that father energy wants to keep us safe, wants to make sure that we have that steady foundation in place that we can build off of, that financially will be secure. But you can't take that next leap in your career if you're so afraid to lose security. So pay attention to what's shifted for you about security, about long-term goals, your ability to achieve them, and release any of those beliefs about safety and being too afraid to make that next step that are not serving you. You're ready to make the next step. That's what this solar eclipse is telling you. Your career is only going to expand even more in 2022, Pisces and Pisces rising. All right, 2 more signs to get through. My Aquarius friends, this is activating the 11th house for you. It's your house and you are right at home here. This rules issues of friends, groups, the collective. So, your friend group might have changed over the past 18 months. If you're an Aquarius, your communication with friends might have changed, or how you relate to your friend group, how you relate to your community probably changed quite a bit in the middle of the pandemic. And your awareness of humanitarian issues probably grew or changed while the nodes were on the Gemini Sagittarius axis through these eclipses over the past 18 months. So Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this is the time to really honor all the ways you've changed and how you see yourself in the collective now. And also hold that vision of yourself, right? Like stand strong in the version of you that you've become over the past 18 months. You're an Aquarius. You know that you're not the same as everybody else around you, but at the same time, you also know that you play an important role in the grand scheme of things, in humanity. So any humanitarian causes that have been brought to your attention or weighing heavy on your heart over the past 18 months, now is the time to outwardly express them if you already haven't. 2022 could bring an opportunity to create your own nonprofit or cause, or even just social media account about a cause you're passionate about or want to bring more awareness to, because the 11th house also rules technology. So how has your relationship to technology changed over the past 18 months, and how do you want to use that moving forward? I'll give you a little example from my own life, not because you asked for it, but because this is my live stream and I can talk about it. So my partner, he's probably watching right now. I know he's been in the chat. I'll just shout him out because he's always telling you to like and subscribe. He has a ton of Aquarius energy in his chart, and like all of his planets are in his 11th house. But over the past year and a half, and Julian, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm just speaking for you, his community and relationship to community has really changed through technology. In fact, I have to credit him for encouraging me to start a live stream, because he started creating community by watching live streams, by getting really into cryptocurrency and NFTs, all very Aquarius things. And now his identity in community has shifted. Like literally his little profile picture I have up here on the screen has changed quite a bit over the past 18 months as he's really gotten into NFTs and cryptocurrency. So I know that's a very specific example, but yeah, there you are. He is an Aquarius rising, Capricorn sun, Aquarius moon, for those of you wondering. And Capricorn, all of his planets are in his 11th house. Anyway, you didn't ask, but yeah, so that's just a really good example of how his relationship to community has changed, how he's literally built this virtual community for himself, which I think has been really big during the pandemic. We've seen more virtual communities popping up. Yeah, Court, you too, because I know you're an Aquarius, right? So you have done the same thing. You have built this community online, on social media. Your relationship to the collective you're part of has changed. You've literally been creating your own communities online. So really, really perfect playing into that Aquarius theme. Give yourself credit, pay attention to what shifts you've made just naturally over the past 18 months, and know that whatever those shifts are bringing you into alignment to expand your community even more, and share about the causes that are important to you in those communities you've created. Make sure you're still holding on to that authentic voice and not getting lost in, you know, the noise of technology and social media, or maybe this doesn't involve technology for you, but even just in your physical community around you. If you're an Aquarius or an Aquarius rising, make sure you're still holding true to those values that are important to you, but keep expanding those virtual communities. I mean, we're in the age of the metaverse, right? So that's what it's all about. Thank you, Shauna. I'm glad you liked that example. All right, last sign, the most patient sign of the zodiac too. So I'm sure you Capricorns don't mind too much. But Capricorns and Capricorn rising, this solar eclipse is activating your 12th house. This is the house of endings, of healing, of the subconscious. So really the death and rebirth aspect, the one chapter closing, another door opening aspect of this solar eclipse is going to feel very prominent for you if you're a Capricorn, or especially a Capricorn rising. What healing have you done over the past 18 months? What physical healing, what mental healing have you done? What healing still needs to happen for you? What do you need to let go of? The 12th house really reminds us that we have to let go before we can ascend. We can think of the 12th house as that last chapter of our lives. You know, if you go around the zodiac wheel, it's kind of like the different phases of our lives, with Aries being the baby, being the first sign, Pisces ruling the 12th house that we're talking about, being that wise old woman, if you will. So the 12th house rules those endings. What do you need to let go of from the past 18 months so you can be reborn in 2022? Really, healing and spirituality are coming to mind, especially for you, Capricorn. Your relationship to spirituality, your relationship to your healing has probably changed. And if you're able to let go, which can be a little bit hard for Capricorns, I know, if you're able to let go, you are going to quantum leap in 2022. You are going to be reborn into a whole new version of yourself. It's like getting an upgrade in a video game or something. Like once you let that part of yourself die, this whole new version of you can be reborn. So Capricorns, let go. And, you know, Cassie, I know you're a Capricorn. I don't know if you're still watching, but, you know, this fire energy can be a little bit difficult for some Capricorns. I know a few Capricorns have come through saying that, but having fun can be a really great way to release. Yeah, Cassie, have some fun, let go, release, 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 release. I know for you especially, Cassie, the past 18 months have been really intense, and you've been doing a lot of physical healing, a lot of mental healing. Like you should be so, so proud of yourself for how far you've come, and you're already jumping forward in this next phase of your life. And 2022 is going to be amazing for you if you can you just got to officially close that chapter. And I'm talking straight to you at this point, Cassie. Close the chapter, close the Reno chapter. You're in a new place. You're ready to step into the next version of yourself. I know I targeted you specifically, but I really feel this for you because you're a Cap rising too, right? So this is just like, yes, yes, ready to just be whole, but you already are. You already have everything you need. Just own that. Release whatever beliefs you have that are telling you you're not whole. You are whole. You have everything you need. All right, I'll stop singling out Cassie. But sometimes a message just comes through. Super aligned. Oh, that makes me happy. Yeah, I'm not even going to bring up your comment, Julian, because nobody wants to hear about the Sacramento Kings right now. I'm a Sacramento Kings fan, and it's just, it's not a great time. It's not a great time for us. Oh, it's never a great time for us. You and me both, Julian. This is the community I'm talking about. You guys, both Aquariuses connecting online. I love it. All right, so those are how each of the signs will be affected by this solar eclipse. Let's just do a final wrap up for people who maybe joined in the middle of all of that. And by the way, if you missed your sign, this whole video is live on YouTube. You can scroll through, and in the next couple hours, I'll make markers so it's easier to find your sign on the timeline. Oh, I can't tell you how many times over the last 21 months I felt like I was tiny pieces of myself. Ooh, I just want to hug you. It's time to let that go. Your 12th house is telling you, let that go. Let all those little pieces that we're trying to fight to be seen, let them go. Let them go. You are whole. You are ready to be that whole version of yourself and be reborn. And I already see it happening for you, for sure. I can see it even over social media from far away. Speaking of building virtual friendships and communities, it's time. You deserve to feel whole again, for sure. Love Sac Kings. I will always love the Kings. Sacramento, born and raised, but you can't deny that they're a bit disappointing sometimes, or most of the time. Who knows? Maybe they'll get it together, but I'll still love them. I'll still represent Sacramento and love Sacramento. I'm just having a hard time believing, okay? Yes, this is what I love to see. Kings fans are always feisty. That's not what I was talking about, but speaking of the Kings. I love how much support you're all giving to Cassie too, rooting for you. Someone says, I would read your book if you wrote one. She has a good story. We'll have to bring her on, the spiritual journalist, sometime to talk about her story because it's really good. So much love to Cassie, all the Capricorns out there who are really closing out a chapter right now. I know that can feel painful. It can feel hard to let things go, but it's time. It's time for you. All right, let's talk about the solar eclipse one last time, and then I'll send you on your way into your day. So really, this solar eclipse being the last eclipse on the Gemini Sagittarius axis is the end of an era. The end of an era that started in June 2020. And we can all imagine what started in June 2020 for us, right? So this solar eclipse is asking you to acknowledge all the changes that have happened in your life since the middle of 2020. Acknowledge how much you have grown as a human being in the past 18 months. Release what is no longer serving you, what is no longer helpful to you at this point. You've already learned the lessons. You've already gained that information and that insight. Now you can release anything that's holding you back so you can start 2022 with the nodes of the moon shifting to the Taurus Scorpio axis, bringing in a new eclipse cycle. You can set intentions and look forward to what you want to call in and what areas you want to grow in the next year in 2022. This past 2 weeks of eclipse season really showed a lot of us what needed to be cleared out, what beliefs were not serving us, or physically what needed to be cleared out of our lives. Now that eclipse season is ending, we can start to feel like we're moving forward a little bit again and that we have a clearer direction, especially with the solar eclipse in Sagittarius, the sign of the Archer. It's like we have a clearer vision of that target we're heading towards now, that 2022 target. And now is the time to kind of load your bow with your arrow and get ready to launch in 2022. But of course, you can't do that if there's all this weight holding you down and not allowing you to point and shoot that arrow clearly. So release whatever is holding you back. This is really an eclipse that is bringing awareness to the past and to the future all at the same time. If you want to set intentions now, go for it. If you're feeling really called to, go for it. This isn't the best new moon to set intentions because it is an eclipse and the light of the sun and of the moon is blocked. It's a really dark period. So a lot of times when we talk about manifestation, we want those luminaries to, literally illuminate our manifestations. But if you are feeling called to set intentions, whatever that looks like for you, do it. Do it. Trust yourself. Trust your gut. Sagittarius energy is all about trusting the divine, trusting yourself. This is all about trust. All of the experiences over the past 18 months taught you what you needed to know. All on the axis of learning and higher education, right? You learned the lessons you needed to learn in the past 18 months. Today is graduation day, baby. Throw on the cap and gown. Celebrate yourself. Envision that next goal for you, whether that is the next chapter of your life, whether that is a new goal that you have, a new way you want to level up in 2022. This is that pivotal moment. So open your mind. Your beliefs, your spirituality might have changed over the past 18 months, or you might feel called to deepen your connection to the divine, to your spirituality. So pay attention to what's come up for you. It'll be unique for everybody. Really celebrate even the difficult moments. Everything shaped you into who you are right now, and who you are is worthy of that target, of that goal you have in mind for 2022. I will say, because these eclipses have happened on the Gemini Sagittarius axis, both of those being mutable signs will probably be affected the most by this. So Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo, all of us are probably feeling these shifts a little bit more than everybody else. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can see this little piece of fluff just floating in front of my face. So yeah, just really pay attention to what you've learned and how you want to keep expanding in 2022. I also wrote down on I do a little note page every time there's a new moon or a full moon. I like to write things down for those big lunar events. The next eclipse that will be on the Gemini Sagittarius axis will be in 2029. So we won't be feeling shifts in this department again for quite a few years. So if this eclipse cycle felt really good for you and you had a lot of amazing changes and you were just like flowing with the energy of 2020 and 2021, which you were probably the minority because I think a lot of us were like, what the hell is going on in the world? 2029 is probably going to be great for you. If it was a little more difficult, well, at least you learned the lessons this time around, and hopefully the next time eclipses happen on this axis, it won't be quite as jarring. I would love to know if those of you who are astrology buffs are feeling any other specific energy from this eclipse or from the past 18 months. I know I have definitely had some crazy life shifts. I mean, I'm here with you right now, and I didn't even think that was a possibility or even something I wanted to be doing in June of 2020. So just proof of how much your life can change during one eclipse cycle. Good. Love this new time for lives. Okay, I've been playing around this week between 8:30. So let me know if this time works for you as well. I'm seeing more and more people being able to come on a little bit after 8 o'clock. So let me know. Message me on Instagram. Let me know in the comments what times work best for you. But now, as we end our live stream, it's time to pull a card. And today we're going to pull from the Queen of the Moon Oracle, another Moon Oracle deck. Of course, because we're talking about a solar eclipse, you've got to do a moon deck. So while I'm shuffling, let me know if you have any last thoughts about this solar eclipse, what's coming up for you, how you're feeling with the energy of today. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, for those of us on the West Coast, this solar eclipse isn't happening until 11:45 p.m. Those of you in more Eastern time zones, this will be happening on Saturday morning, and across the world it'll be happening on Saturday. And so you might feel this energy a lot over the weekend as well. So if it's not really feeling like it today, just know that this will continue into tomorrow, really for all of us, because it's happening so late at night. Feeling so called within the second house for my Scorpio rising and the 10th house for my Pisces sun. So on point for you, Shauna. It's crazy how much you've seen shifts in those areas. For sure, your career, set those big goals, girl. Safe. I haven't seen you comment in a while. I'm happy you're here. I hope you got to hear the Cancer horoscope. But if you didn't, scroll back and hear what I have to say for Cancers. I know that you like to follow your horoscope. All right, let's pull a card. What do we need to know for this solar eclipse in Sagittarius? Darkness. How perfect. We're talking about a new moon. This is called the long night moon, which I haven't heard of before, but a solar eclipse is literally a time of darkness. And although those of us on the Western side of the world, the Western hemisphere, won't actually physically see the solar eclipse, you'll probably see images of it on social media taken in other parts of the world. And, solar eclipses are a time of darkness. Traditionally, ancient cultures would get freaked out by them because all of a sudden the sun gets dark and they're, like, what's going on? Why is the sun turning black? So how perfect darkness is the card. Court, 2020 was the last time at your old career. So perfect. You're a Pisces rising, like, hello, 10th house being activated. That's amazing. Okay, let's read the description for this darkness card. It's number 40. So if that has any meaning to you, this is your card. Darkness. All right. You are entering a time of introversion, a leaner time, or a time to turn inward to plan and strategize. It is time to do shadow work, which will bring big dividends later on. Release what no longer works for you. The darkness needs to be there, as does the light. One of the earliest human fears is said to be a fear of the dark. We fear what we can't see. We fear what we may be hiding. In reality, the dark is as important as the light. In nature, there are many nocturnal animals that go about the business of living under the moon, not the sun. The darker times of the lunar and seasonal cycles signal a time to naturally turn inwards. So stay close to home, look closely at ourselves, and plan for the light. Also perfect for winter season. In the northern hemisphere, the long night moon usually occurred in December around the winter solstice. This is when the nights are indeed long and the hours of sunshine short. It's cold and people would begin to be snowed in. It is during these long nights we can begin to do our shadow work, undertaking the self-reflection needed to identify what isn't working for us and what might be causing us pain. This could be a bad habit, a destructive pattern, a recurring useless fear, or anything that holds us back from being the best we can be. Once we see these aspects of ourselves in the dark, we can simply decide whether they must go. We can decide to release them once and for all. We get to transform. Couldn't be a more perfect card for everything we've been talking about. Release all of that shadow work, all of those fears that might have come up for you over the past 18 months. Release what's holding you back from your greatest potential in 2022. And I love that this talks about the winter solstice specifically, and this time of year specifically, because, you know, I've been really putting the focus on setting intentions for 2022 because I really see the next few weeks, even during Sagittarius season and the holiday season, as a time of introspection and just kind of sitting, chilling, enjoying our family before we really get going and get that motivation going again in 2022. I think that's what the holiday season brings for a lot of us. But this card is just confirming that this is the time to release, reflect, get in alignment, get ready for that next level of you in 2022. So perfect. I just got chills. Then you know that's your card. This is for you. What a great discussion today. I am loving. Okay, Court, I said graduation. I have to tell you, I said graduation because of what you said during our live stream 2 weeks ago. You talked about eclipse season being like this time period where you're getting ready for a big event and there are all these things moving around you. And I've just been reflecting on that so much. And I got this like vision of this solar eclipse is graduation day. We are ready. We've done the work. We've done the reflection. We've had the past 2 weeks to really figure out, okay, like what is no longer in alignment? What don't we want to bring into the next chapter to college or wherever you're graduating to our career? So I have to tell you, you were the inspiration behind that graduation analogy. So thank you for that. All right, everybody, this has been so wonderful. I hope this solar eclipse brings you good fortune. I hope it helps you release what is no longer serving you, what's no longer for your best and highest. Oh, okay, hold on. Breaking news, last minute. NASA says huge, potentially hazardous asteroid will break into Earth's orbit next week. Thoughts? Thoughts. Well, the asteroid's not going to crash into Earth, so that's good. I don't know. Astrologically, I don't know what the thoughts would be on that. It is Sagittarius season, so spontaneous things can happen. That's the Mercury in Sagittarius speaking too quickly before I think. Yeah, I think I saw an article about that, about this asteroid. It's coming into Earth's orbit, but it's not coming that close to Earth. We might be able to see it though, actually. I think you might be able to see it in the sky. So, I mean, we'll have to see what happens when it's actually happening next week. What's going on with the energy of the planets? Still going to be Sagittarius season. Might be when Mars is moving into Sagittarius, honestly, which could make sense with an asteroid coming close to Earth. Sag asteroid, obviously. Sagittarius likes to spice things up a little bit, likes to keep things exciting. Of course, there's going to be some action in the skies during Sagittarius season. Oh, yeah. I mean, this isn't an Armageddon thing, right? Like it's not going to crash into Earth. They would tell us that if our lives were all ending next week, hopefully. But if that's the case, then what do we even do to prepare? What do we do to prepare if the world is ending? We have some fun with the moon in Sagittarius today, tomorrow, I think into Sunday. Not sure. Let me see how long until the moon moves into the next sign. Let's see. But I mean, I really feel like this is the weekend to have some fun. I know the solar eclipse can be a little bit intense. It can bring a lot of feelings to the surface. It can feel like this culmination point, but it's still a Sagittarius moon until Sunday morning. So Saturday night, Friday night, live it up. Have fun. Dance under the solar eclipse if you can see it, or even if you can't, just dance under the new moon. Have some fun, release through fun, and envision through fun as well. Manifest through fun as well. Envision 2022 while you're having fun. That will only get you in the energy, a higher vibe energy for you to attract what you want in 2022. Okay, Court, you are going to love that in my takeaway at the bottom of my, I don't know if you've seen this yet, at the bottom of my forecast today on thespiritualjournalist.com, the first line I wrote was, as we go on, we remember. Like you and I, girl, are on the same wavelength. Dance to some vitamin C, dance to some graduation songs today. You deserve it. You've learned the lessons over the past 18 months. I know. We're going to have some fun this weekend too. I hope you're all having fun as well. I've been having so much fun with you all this morning. What a great way to mark the Sagittarius solar eclipse with all of you, with this online community that we are building together. I'm so grateful for you all. We will be back next week with more morning forecasts, probably around the same time, since it seems like this is working a lot better for all of you. So probably after 8 a.m. next week. And we'll have more episodes of The Spiritual Journalist next week as well. As always, if you want to support, you can find a link in the description for different ways you can support this free live stream, this free content. But just being here, sharing your energy with me, giving me your input, and chatting with me through the comments is one of the absolute best ways you can support. And I'm so grateful for you all. I'm so grateful for everything you have taught me over the past few months and how we will all be expanding together in 2022. So hold on tight, enjoy this solar eclipse, and please have a little fun from me this weekend. All right, I'll see you next week. And until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.